I really started to recognize that I would like to sort of enable a more macro impact from my side and work with organizations that not only work at an individual level but at a larger level. And that's what brought me to my MBA, because I recognized that I needed to specialize in being a generalist.
One thing was pretty clear for me early on when COVID hit and I started preparing for MBA schools was if I was going to do an MBA, I was going to do it in India.
So I'm Apurva and I'm from Chennai. That's where I was born and brought up. I've done my undergraduate in accounting and finance, again in Chennai. I studied in Ethiraj College for Women, and that is the space where I discovered a whole other aspect of mine, which was to be an orator.
I am originally from Mumbai. I was born here and lived here for most of my early life. And then, due to some events in my personal life, we had to move to Hyderabad. And I did most of my schooling in Hyderabad after that, and I lived with my grandmom.
I'm Arushi, I'm from Delhi. I studied psychology from Delhi University and I graduated in 2016.
So I'm Shreya, and you can say that I belong to India because my father is an army doctor, and so we've travelled across India pretty much. So I did my schooling from St. Mary's in Pune. Then I went on to do CBSE, City International, and soon after that I came to Mumbai to pursue architecture.
I've been a singer all my life. I probably learned Saregama along with the alphabets. So that's how long I've been singing, and that's how it's a part of me.
When I was in 3rd or 4th grade, I kind of started learning more and more about how aircrafts work. I kind of got into, reading more about aircraft engines, things like that. So I was potentially the only kid in the school who knew how a turbo ramjet, which is absolutely useless. Like, who is ever gonna ask you that in school? But it's just something that, I really thought was a cool thing to know. And I just followed that passion throughout school. And, like most kids who want to become engineers, everybody wants to, join an IIT. So I kind of, joined the bandwagon, joined one of those classic coaching classes. And, very early on, I realized it wasn't for me. Sitting there for 12 hours a day, just doing the same kind of math problems, it really, isn't what all I thought, dreamed aerospace would be for me.
When I took up CAT like in 2021, I wasn't that keen on saying this is the year I'm going to get into my MBA. I thought, okay, let me go give CAT, see what it's like so that I can prepare accordingly for the next year. So that's how it worked out, and thankfully I scored well. And that is when, we do have friends who are in the circles, who are in other B schools and all that, and that's when during a discussion BITSOM popped up, and I was curious to know, because there's a new B school in Mumbai, that's like huge. There was that level of curiosity, so I remember going to the website and there was a whole profile evaluation tool there, and you can get into a conversation with the admin team. So I booked a call with Sampurna, and we had a conversation, and I asked her a lot of questions. I'm one of those kids you wouldn't really want to pitch something to. I would ask you a million questions. And I really loved how, she was very genuine about the answers. She didn't try to make up things, or they didn't try to say, they said, this is a new school. Everybody's in this for the first time. So these are the advantages, this is how it is, this is what we faced. That's kind of was my first interaction with the BITSOM. So it was pretty much direct.
I was always very keenly interested in studying psychology, and as I sort of went into my graduation, I realized that the impact that I would make would be at a very individual level. And I really started to recognize that I would like to sort of enable a more macro impact from my side and work with organizations that not only work at an individual level but at a larger level. And that's what brought me to my MBA, because I recognized that I needed to specialize in being a generalist. I wanted to pursue a career in healthcare and development sector, so I went on a journey of exploration. I did a short stint with the Gandhi Fellowship, then I joined the healthcare consulting practice at Deloitte for almost 3 years. And after that, I decided to explore the not-for-profit side and joined Swasti the Health Catalyst in Bangalore. And then I decided that to sort of join all the dots, I should come to BITSOM and marry my passion and my business intuition and see where it takes me.
I had an inkling for design and I think even leadership right from childhood, because I was at various leadership positions, and having seen my father who's in the army, you have a lot of discipline, you have a lot of leadership skills that you're acquiring there. probably was there, but it was not consciously known to me. And when I went through the process of 5 years of architecture, I was very fortunate that I was in a college which it really encouraged critical thinking. It allowed for transparency, and most important, it was a very democratic process where the principal always told us that the college is because the students are there, and so it completely belongs to you. And every single decision, right from deciding what a curriculum would be to what kind of events we want to hold, what kind of examinations do we want to really go through, everything was decided by the student community. And having been a part of that entire process and being at those leadership positions, I somewhere like further developed and honed the skills of leadership. But at the same time, I knew that there was there was something that was missing, which was basically the understanding of business. And architecture, while it's a great field, it definitely lacks in understanding business, because it's a service industry and it is a business industry where you need to grow. That's where I think I realized that I need to do an MBA so that I can learn these skills and also have a wider network which went just beyond architects, designers and creative professionals.
One thing was pretty clear for me early on when COVID hit and I started preparing for MBA schools was if I was going to do an MBA, I was going to do it in India. Now, this kind of rose from the circumstance of COVID being in effect at that point, and my grandmother lives in India. She's like the only family I have. So because of that, I kind of made the decision that I had spent a lot of my time, at least in the recent past at that time, not being in India, not being around her. So I felt it was important to, stay in India, and India is not far behind in terms of B schools. So I thought it would be a great opportunity to, kind of see what India has to offer in that sense.
I think I applied only to 3 schools in India, and this was my top choice because of the way they designed the curriculum and the professors. No other college was offering that, where I could sort of get into. And I really wanted to be in a sandbox environment and grow the institution as I grow. And so I chose BITSOM.
I think CAT was a very roller coaster ride is the right word for it. So because of COVID, actually the exams, like Mumbai University, there was a lot of, from June to October, constantly there was this phase of exams are happening, not happening. And in architecture, it's not just a written exam, but we basically have juries, which are final presentations. So it was like a year of hard work, which had to be presented. And we don't know whether it's happening or not happening. So through those 4 months, there was a lot of turmoil of whether should we be working on it and finishing the last leg of the project or not. But I think around September is when the news came through that, okay, it will be happening, but it will be happening online. So another 2 months went into just preparing for that. And then finally November was here and I had to sit for my CAT. Thankfully, you can say my parents are like a huge influence for me. So they nudged me in May and told me that it's irrespective of other things, you enjoy solving questions, so why not just start preparing? So I started doing it for the fun of it in June, like whenever little bit time I could get. And post my jury on 15th October, I started like working properly for CAT. So the remaining 1.5 months is all I put into it. So I just knew I'll give it my best shot. But of course, like before the exam, I had a lot of stress. I did not have a lot of peers who I could connect with because architecture, like in my entire batch, I was the only student who was preparing for CAT. The remaining were preparing for GATE. And then once again, deciding whether I want to stay in India, I want to go abroad, what do I want to do about my MBA. So I just tried to put everything at the back of it and decide that, okay, I'll first take the first step, take the exam, see how it goes, and then we'll see how the rest of it unfolds. Thankfully for me, CAT went, I wouldn't say it went great, but it was definitely not bad. And that's when the BITSOM opportunity came by. So this was when I was giving the interviews for the other colleges. We saw the ad for BITSOM in the newspaper and my mom thought, why not give it a shot? Like, you've been doing it anyway, so try it out. And that's when I spoke to a few other people and I joined the group. So we had a Telegram group where other BITSOM students were also there. And I somehow just felt the vibe, like I connected with the place instantly. And that's where I decided that I think, okay, this is where I want to be.
So am I getting time to pursue my music? Yes. I'm somebody who's very keen on time management. So, and my music to me beyond an art form is also a part of my discipline. To wake up and say I'm going to sing for half an hour or 1 hour, or maybe if it's a very busy day, I'll sing a song and then go ahead with my whatever it is. And it's also a part of how I study. Like I grew up believing that if I sing and then I study, I tend to process information better. And it has worked out for me. I can't say about everybody. For me, it has worked out because there's a certain amount of focus I bring into that song when I have to sing a song, and that focus retains when I have to study. So it works well for me.
When I came to BITSOM, and Professor Banerjee has taken a block with us on design thinking, and even prior to that, we've had like a lot of one-on-one interactions with him and with Leena ma'am. So that's when they actually introduced us to the idea of design thinking. So when I started like researching more about it, talking to more people about it, I realized that everything that I had studied during architecture, the 6 years, it was inculcated, like the entire process of design thinking. And now I understood that, okay, this same thing can be picked up and used in solving any other business problem which existed in the world. Even in my internship, I was lucky that I was used to the principles of design thinking to solve the problem that was provided to me. And after that, I made a conscious effort to reach out to more people through LinkedIn and through my network. So I spoke to a few people at IDEO, the design consulting firm globally known. I worked with a few people in McKinsey Design as well. And I consciously just started making an effort to ingrain it with me, so that as I step out in the world, I'm actually able to use this to solve real life problems and do the best of my strengths for the best.
When I came in to do my MBA, I was somebody who always thought that I was going to be a cog in the bigger machinery of the aerospace industry. What I see, while doing an MBA, during the progress, what I've learned is I have an opportunity to be a bigger part of this project. The kind of lessons I learn here, the kind of tools I take away from here, it will help me, build something in the aerospace industry of India that is lacking currently. Of course, there's a lot of prerequisites that come in that sense, government regulations, things like that. But if you want something hard enough, it's going to happen for you.
Of course, my profile is extremely focused on healthcare. However, coming to BITSOM, I've realized that I want to be open to more sectors. Yet, I would still like to go back to consulting or somewhere be able to be in a strategy-oriented role, whether it's general management or a transformation team with a conglomerate, or it's management consulting. So that's definitely where I see myself in the next 5 years.
What I would say is that don't give up. It's very important that even though you feel that it's not going to happen, it's very important to turn up, to show up on the day and just give it your best shot. And I think one thing which has worked for me in life all throughout, be it during the CAT exam or the interviews for summers and now hopefully even finals, is that I always do it because I really enjoy doing it. And that's something that even you should keep in mind. So irrespective of what everyone else around you tells you, if you enjoy doing it and if you like what you're doing, just go for it, and I'm sure that will eventually lead to good results.